There are rumors that Gold Rush wants to bring back Fred Lewis for its next season. This is despite the fact that he was at the bottom rung of miners when it came to his gold take for the season. With that said, there are also many fans who consider him a hobby miner and not a real businessman for the show. Here is a look at what fans think about Fred Lewis and what his future might hold. With the most recent season of Gold Rush, fans watched two inexperienced miners searching for gold alongside two very experienced players in Parker Schnebel and Tony Beets. By the end of it, Parker and Tony had their normal great takes, while the Clayton brothers really pulled things out down the line. However, Fred Lewis struggled all season long. At first, he was a positive story on Gold Rush, a former military medic who hired former vets to work on his crew. However, that storyline soon wore thin when both the narrator and Fred mentioned his military service over and over, constantly. By the end of the season, Fred was talking about quitting if he didn't reach his goal. However, while Discovery seems like they are ready to move on from Fred's crew, as well as the Clayton brothers, they hinted they want to bring Fred back for next season in one way or another. With that said, the fans aren't all on board. In a Reddit thread, fans debated who were better miners between Fred Lewis and the Hoffmans. Todd Hoffman left Gold Rush in 2018 and started his own show, Hoffman Family Gold. However, while on Gold Rush, they were never that successful compared to others. One fan showed the totals for each season for each team. In their first season, Hoffman brought in 14 ounces, 93 ounces, and 803 ounces. On the other hand, Fred has also had 3 seasons and brought in 6 ounces, 110 ounces, and 157 ounces. While Fred had a better second season, he came nowhere near what Hoffman did in his third season, barely making more than his second season, had a Redditor noting. Fred still is in hobby mining numbers. Despite all this, Discovery seems to want Fred Lewis back for Gold Rush. This likely has nothing to do with the gold totals. With the network considering cutting Fred's crew, they might just want Fred back for entertainment value. Fred is very outspoken and has no problem saying and doing things that have Gold Rush fans either shaking their heads or tuning back in to hear more. He also has a following in the military community, and that might keep him worth his reality TV paycheck. What are your thoughts on Fred Lewis from Gold Rush? Should he return? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Sean S. Lilos has been a freelance writer for over 25 years and is a voting member of the Oklahoma Film Critics Circle. He is also a published author with a book about the Stephen King Dollar Baby filmmakers. Gold Rush. Fred Lewis called a hobby miner, the annals of the Gold Rush era, names like John Sutter and James Marshall Shimmer like the gold they sought. Yet, amid this luminary company, Fred Lewis stands out not merely as a miner, but as a symbol of a distinct subset of those who pursued fortune in the wilds of the American West. Dubbed a hobby miner, Lewis's journey reveals a nuanced perspective on ambition, passion, and the meaning of success during a time when dreams were as volatile as the gold they chased. The allure of gold, the gold rush of the mid-19th century, ignited a fervor that propelled thousands into the rugged terrain of California, their hearts beating in sync with the hopes of striking it rich. This was an era where men and women left behind their homes, families, and sometimes even their morals in the relentless pursuit of wealth. Among these adventurers was Fred Lewis, a man whose tale would be different from the common narrative. Lewis was not a destitute man driven to the mines by necessity. Instead, he was a passionate prospector whose pursuit of gold was intertwined with his love for the great outdoors. His quest was not solely about wealth. It was about the adventure, the thrill of discovery, and the connection to the land. This perspective led some to label him a hobby miner, a term that often carried a tone of condescension, suggesting that his endeavors were mere pastimes compared to the grueling, high-stakes ventures of others. The term hobby miner implies a certain detachment from the desperation that characterized many of Lewis's contemporaries. For Fred, the mountains were not just a backdrop for his aspirations, they were a canvas for his creativity. His digging was less about filling his pockets and more about the experience itself. He marveled at the majesty of the Sierra Nevada, the rush of cold water in his sluice box, and the sense of camaraderie found among fellow miners. While others saw gold as the ultimate prize, Lewis was drawn to the artistry of mining. He would often pause in the midst of work to sketch the stunning landscapes, capturing the beauty that surrounded him. His journals, filled with meticulous notes and illustrations, served as both a log of his mining activities and a tribute to the vibrant life of the region. To him, each flake of gold unearthed was a bonus, an unexpected reward for his exploration and creativity. Challenges of the trade, however, the life of a hobby miner was not without its challenges. Fred faced the same hardships that plagued many gold seekers: harsh weather, treacherous terrain, and the ever-present threat of failure. Unlike those driven by desperation, his failures did not devastate him. Instead, they became part of the narrative he crafted around his adventures. When a claim he staked yielded no gold, Fred would regroup. He'd explore a new river, search for untouched areas, or experiment with different techniques. This resilience was a hallmark of his character. He understood that success was not solely defined by the quantity of gold mined, but also by the experiences gained along the way. Every setback was a lesson, every moment spent in nature a treasure in itself. Community and connection. Lewis's hobby approach also fostered connections with those around him. In contrast to the cutthroat mentality of many miners, who often saw their fellow prospectors as competition, Fred built a community. He shared tips and techniques with newcomers, hosted gatherings around campfires, and formed friendships that lasted long after the gold fever subsided. In a time when men often sought solitude in the wilderness, Lewis's inclusivity was refreshing. He understood that the journey was not just about the gold, it was about shared experiences. The laughter of friends, the stories told under a blanket of stars, and the spirit of collaboration enriched his life more than any treasure could. The changing landscape as the gold rush waned, and the rush for gold turned into a more structured industry. Fred's role as a hobby miner became increasingly rare. The landscape shifted. Mechanization and corporate mining operations took center stage, leaving little room for the individual prospector. Yet Fred persisted. He adapted, finding new ways to engage with the land. He began to focus on sustainable practices, understanding that the mountains were not just a resource to be exploited, but a delicate ecosystem to be respected. This evolution marked a shift in his identity. Fred Lewis became an advocate for responsible mining, emphasizing the importance of preserving the natural beauty that had inspired him. He shared his knowledge with others, encouraging a return to methods that harmonized with the environment. His legacy evolved beyond gold. It became one of stewardship, creativity, and community. Reflections on success in the context of the gold rush. Fred Lewis's story challenges conventional notions of success. While others equated wealth with worth, Fred found fulfillment in the journey itself. His legacy as a hobby miner serves as a reminder that passion and purpose can often outweigh the allure of gold. Success, in his eyes, was about living fully, embracing the wildness of the world, and fostering connections with others. Today, as modern prospectors take to the rivers with pans and sluice boxes, Lewis's spirit endures. His approach encourages a new generation to appreciate the land for more than its mineral wealth. The beauty of nature, the thrill of discovery, and the bonds forged in the process remain invaluable treasures. Fred Lewis, the hobby miner, stands as a testament to the idea that sometimes the greatest gold lies not in what we find, but in what we experience along the way. Conclusion: Fred Lewis's journey as a hobby miner is a poignant reminder that the gold rush was more than a pursuit of riches. It was a quest for meaning, adventure, and connection. In a world often obsessed with material wealth, his story encourages us to reflect on our own definitions of success. By embracing the journey, cherishing relationships, and respecting the land, we can find our own gold, hidden in the richness of life itself.